Good evening. I'd like to call to order this November 13th, 2023 Board of Supervisors meeting. If everyone could join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Ms. Hannah, can you please call roll?
Anna Payne,
Here.
Dawn Corporal,
Here.
Dana Kane,
Here.
Mike Kizak.
Here.
I don't have the full. In attendance, we also have Stephanie Teely-Cools. Oh my God. Andrew Griffin. I can't see. I don't have my glasses. Isaac Kessler. Sorry. Mr. Vela, Nick Vela. Department heads and, oh, I see Eric Gartmeyer. I'm sorry. I don't have the paper. I apologize, and my thing is not updated. I really apologize. And Joseph Bartololi are here.
Okay, so we have upcoming meetings. Our next Board of Supervisors meeting is scheduled for Monday, December 11th, 2023 at 7 p.m. right here in the Public Hall. We have some events coming up. We have our holiday open house, which is Thursday, December 7th at 5:30 to 8:30 right here at the Municipal Center. And we have a very popular Shop with a Cop, which is Saturday, December 9th, which is at the Target in Oxford Valley. So we have some special items tonight. First up will be swearing in of Officer Andrew Brady. Chief.
Good evening, Ms. Payne, fellow board members. So we're going to swear in our newest officer, Andrew Brady. But first, before we do that, I just want to read a little biography on Andrew. So Andrew John Brady was born and raised in Wilmington, Delaware. Andrew earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Bloomsburg University of Pennsylvania in 2017. While attending Bloomsburg, he swam all 4 years and became an All-American swimmer in his junior and senior years. Andrew has one class left till he earns his master's degree in Homeland Security from Wilmington University. Andrew has been a police officer in Wilmington, Delaware for the past 4.5 years. I was with Wilmington PD. While serving as a police officer in Wilmington, he became CIT trained, that's crisis intervention trained, in the summer of 2022. Andrew was just married this past August, and his wife is from Bucks County. He's looking forward to having a great career with Middletown Township and with our police department. We're excited to have him join our police department. So with that, Andrew, I'll ask you to step up, and our board chair, Anna Payne, will swear you in.
So please raise your right hand. I, and then state your name,
I, Andrew John Brady,
do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and the ordinances of Middletown Township with duty, honor, and fidelity.
and the ordinances of Middletown Township with duty, honor, and fidelity
As a Middletown Township police officer.
as a Middletown Township police officer.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
You all want to get photos with him? Great, thanks. Thanks, Ms. Payne. And not to steal their thunder, I just wanted to say one quick thing before they take the mic up here. I want to thank the Community Foundation, the Middletown Community Foundation, for once again sponsoring our newest canine, who's here tonight with his handler. Officer Larry Hardy and Canine Blue are here. The Middletown Community Foundation has been a fantastic partner with our police department in their great support for our outstanding canine unit, the best canine unit in the county. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank Paula Kearns, I know is here tonight. Jim Merrill's not here, and the rest of the Community Foundation, Nick Valla, for their great support of our canine unit. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. With that, Middletown Community Foundation, Mr. Valla.
Sure. Thank you, Supervisor Payne. Good evening, Supervisors, and thanks for everyone who is coming. Unfortunately, our President, Jim Merrill, could not be here, but my name is Nick. In addition to my role with the Township, I also have the great fortune of being the Executive Director for the Middletown Community Foundation, and as the Chief shared, I believe this is our number 5, right, feet? So this is the 5th police canine that the Community Foundation has been able to sponsor for the Middletown Township Police Department, and Canine Blue and his handler, Officer Larry Hardy, are actually here tonight. And I'd like to welcome up the rest of our Community Foundation board members. We have a check to present to the police department, and we love to do a quick picture with Canine Blue as well as the supervisors.
We'll just give everyone a few minutes to kind of clear the room and pet our new canine officer. Okay, next up, we actually have a few proclamations to be read. The first one being Native American Heritage Proclamation. Supervisor Hannah.
Thank you very much. Township of Middletown Township, Bucks County Proclamation recognizing Native American Heritage Month in Middletown Township. Whereas every November, Native American Heritage Month is celebrated to honor the remarkable Native Americans who have contributed to the character, culture, and history of the nation. This month is also referred to as the American Indian and Alaska Native Heritage Month. Native American Heritage Month honors and celebrates the perseverance, rich diversity, and excellence of all Native Americans, and whereas Native American Heritage Month is time to rejoice in diverse and rich cultures, histories, and traditions, and to appreciate the great contributions of the Native Americans. This month allows us to spread awareness about tribes and educate people about the various challenges faced by the Native Americans in the past and today, And whereas National Native American Month began as an effort to have a day of appreciation and acknowledgement for the unique contributions made by the first Americans for the growth and establishment of the United States, and is now the effort has now resulted in a whole month being celebrated for that purpose. And whereas in 1915, a plan concerning American Indian Day was formally approved in the annual Congress of the American Indian Association meeting and was declared in May 1916 and named National American Heritage Month. In 1990, a joint resolution was approved by George H.W. Bush, which called for November to be named National American Heritage Month. Declarations like these have been issued since 1994, such as Native American Heritage Month and National American Indian and Alaska Native Heritage Month. And whereas Middletown Township encourage everyone to learn more about the people who first called this nation home in the spirit of growth, healing, and hope for a better future. And now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Middletown Township that November be proclaimed as National American Heritage Month. Middletown Township Board of Supervisors proclaim this day, the 13th of November, 2023. Anna Payne, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mrs. Hannah. Next, we have a small business Saturday proclamation. Supervisor Cusack.
Thank you. Whereas the Township of Middletown celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 32.5 million small businesses in the United States. They represent 99.7% of all firms with paid employees in the United States, are responsible for 62% of net new jobs created since 1995, and small businesses employ 46.8% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. And whereas 79% of consumers understand the importance of supporting the small businesses in their community on Small Business Saturday, 70% report that the day makes them want to encourage others to shop small, independently owned retailers, and 66% report that the day makes them want to shop small all year long. And whereas 58% of shoppers reported that they shopped online with a small business, and 54% reported that they dined or ordered takeout from a small restaurant, bar, cafe, or small business on Saturday in 2021. And whereas Middletown Township supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities, and whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of Supervisors of Middletown Township, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, that November 25th, 2023 shall be designated as Small Business Saturday, and we urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. Middletown Township Board of Supervisors proclaim this day the 13th day of November 2023.
Thank you, Supervisor Cusack. Next is public comment. So this is public comment on non-agenda items only. Please come up, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name's Helene Ratner, and I live at 346 Stratton Court, Langhorne. What I'm here tonight is about the political signs with our current ordinance. I don't know if this is the right place for me to ask or if I have to go to zoning, but I'm starting here. Our current ordinance has political signs can start going up 60 days prior to an election. I'd like to see this ordinance be changed to 30 days, and that signs right now have to be removed 10 days after the election. I don't know whether that portion could be changed, but if it can be, to 5 days after the election. So I'd like you to take into consideration about this ordinance.
That's a policy decision that the board has the option to implement, so I think you're at the right place.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your comments, and we will definitely take this into consideration
Okay.
moving forward. I don't know if Mr. Ennis has anything he wants to add or...
Yeah, as I informed earlier, you send me what you propose. I discuss it with Stephanie. We discuss it with the supervisors, and then if we move forward with an amendment process, it will have to go through the full-blown amendment process, which goes in front of the Planning Commission and eventually in front of the board for approval and enactment. But there's a lot that still has to be considered.
Okay,
All right?
thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Ennis. Any other public comment on non-agenda items? Seeing none, I'll move on to the consent agenda. I will accept a motion for approval of the consent agenda as stated.
Motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions from the board?
Could you guys just walk me through the 2 grants that we're applying for?
Sure. The first grant before the supervisors tonight is for the PICO Green Region Program. The township has won this grant a couple of times in the past. And the application on before the supervisors tonight is to support a solar project for the community park barn. This is something we have some federal funding for that we're hoping to supplement with this additional grant funding. That is a $10,000 request. The other one is the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, DCED, Local Share Account Program. We were awarded this grant recently for Forsythia Crossing Park. We're requesting $1 million out of the new round to support LED field lighting at Middletown Community Park, which is a project planned a couple of years from now.
Is that a match or is that a unmatched?
Neither grant has a match requirement.
Thank you, Mr. Valla. Are there any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry, or ayes have it. Motion carries. Next, we have consideration of 517 Deer Run Drive lot consolidation approval. Oh, there we go. Mr. McGinnis.
Good evening. Frank Dillon. I'm the old guy filling in for Mike McGinnis. Frank Dillon from Begley Carlin. We're here on 517 Deer Drive. With me, I have Tom Snyder, the applicant, and John Richardson from Dumac Engineering. The proposal simply stated is to consolidate 2 lots at 517 Deer Drive and subdivide it into 3 lots and build 3 conforming houses. We've received a review letter from Remington Vernick dated August 31st, 2023, and our response is we'll comply except for the minor waivers being requested, which we can review each and every one, or however you would like us to do it.
If you'd like to go through the waivers that you have listed,
Well,
sure.
I'll do the first 2 to allow the plans to be submitted as preliminary final. I think that's something you do as a matter of fact. 2 is to allow the contours to be at 1 foot interval. That's just the engineering issue. Maybe John can address the last several.
Can I just real quick, Mr. Kessler, you don't have any objection to any of these waivers, correct?
We don't, no. They're pretty typical for the lot gradings for single-family homes as
Yep.
well.
Thank you.
Thank you. The third waiver request is to allow the storm pipes to be less than 15 inches. The pipes in question are within the lot. They're not a public, they're not on the street. They won't be owned by the township. And I believe that the pipe sizes on the plan are pretty typical of the usages, such as roof downspouts and distribution pipes within small dry wells. The next waiver request is to allow the side lot distances between the side lot and the driveways of Lot 2 and Lot 3 to be 10 and 10.18 feet respectively, instead of the required 12 feet. This is driven more just by the size of the lots and the configurations of the side garages. The next waiver request is to allow the street trees to be 25 feet off the ultimate right-of-way line instead of the required 5 feet, and to allow a 5-foot landscaping easement instead of the required 10 feet. Once again, due to the narrowness of the lots, we have proposed stormwater management dry wells in the front. There are some existing trees along the front of the lots, and the utilities, and each driveway requires a clear sight triangle. We physically just ran out of room to get all the landscaping that close to the right-of-way. So we've moved some of the street trees back a little bit just to allow us room to plant those. The next waiver request is to allow a 6-foot and 0-foot verge instead of the 7-foot. This is the distance between the curb and the sidewalk. The right-of-way isn't that far back from the edge of the cartway. The 6-foot allows us to build the sidewalk within the right-of-way and at 6 feet back. And the 0 is because at the far left edge of the property, we are tying into an existing sidewalk. Wow, that doesn't show up very well on that. But at this point here, we're taking our proposed sidewalk and tying it into the existing, and the existing sidewalk has a 0-foot verge. And the final waiver request is to not require streetlights. There are streetlights on the other side of Deer currently. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll accept a motion for approval.
Make a motion to grant lot consolidation, subdivision, and land development plan approval for 517 Deer Drive, S/LD number 23-06 with the following conditions. Number 1, applicant shall comply in full with all requirements of the Middletown Township subdivision and land development ordinance and the Middletown Township zoning ordinance unless relief was granted by the body having jurisdiction. 2, any remaining review comments shall be addressed in full. And 3, installation and connectivity of sidewalks shall be to the township engineer's satisfaction.
It's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Are there any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry 5-0. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Dillon. Next up is consideration of Penwood's Village land development approval. Mr. Murphy.
Good evening. I'm here to talk about an unusual situation where I'm asking you to approve something to do less than what was originally approved 2.5 years ago. So in June of 21, this board approved a plan for certain improvements to Pennswood Village, including 3 alterations, additions to the healthcare center complex. That plan was designed and master planned by Pennswood before COVID. What Pennswood learned during the COVID experience and since is that those originally planned improvements for the healthcare center, including those approved by you guys, aren't really going to function well in the post-COVID environment. So what they'd like to do is amend the plan that was approved 2.5 years ago to eliminate the contemplated improvements to the healthcare complex. And they're in the process of rethinking whether or not any improvements to the healthcare complex would be appropriate in the post-COVID world. So why are we doing this tonight? Because previously, when the plan was approved, Pennswood had to escrow funds associated with the improvements associated with the healthcare complex. So unless and until we record the plan to remove those scheduled improvements, Isaac and the staff won't release the funds that were earmarked associated with that. So there is a financial component to Pennswood that we can recoup or have returned to us those security funds previously posted. So we're asking tonight to approve an amended plan to remove the contemplated improvements for the healthcare center. And that's it.
Just out of curiosity, what's the status of the rest of the project, the apartments?
Just about finished, I believe. We're almost complete.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to grant amended final land development plan approval for Pennswood Village, 1382 Langhorne Newtown Road, SLD number 21-02, with the following conditions. Number 1, applicant should apply in full with all requirements of Middletown Township subdivision and land development ordinance and Middletown Township zoning ordinance unless relief was granted by the body having jurisdiction. Number 2, any remaining review comments shall be addressed in full.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Are there any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Great.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Murphy.
you.
Next, we have Mr. Vala, consideration of enacting ordinance 23-03 to add a stop sign to Tall Tree Lane and Meadowview Court.
Good evening once again. Before the board tonight is the considering final enactment of an ordinance to amend Chapter 470. As we discussed at the previous meeting, these are two dead-end roads, and what we're proposing is to add a stop sign to create a more expected condition for motorists to resolve a potential safety issue. And this is recommended by the Traffic Commission, and it has been duly advertised by the Township Solicitor.
Thank you, Mr. Vala. Are there any questions? I'll accept a motion.
I move to enact ordinance 23-03, amending Chapter 470 of the Middletown Township Code of Ordinances to add stop signs to Tall Tree Lane at Zimmerman Lane and to Meadowview Court at Oak Ridge Drive.
I'll second.
It's been a motion and a second. Are there any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Vala. Next up, Ms. Teoli Cools has a 2024 budget presentation.
Wow. That was a quick meeting. You have before you this evening your budget document. It's a big day in the Township Building when we assemble these budget documents for you. Tonight kicks off your opportunity to present the budget to the public and open up the public comment stage. So let's see if this works. Perfect. So we are presenting a budget to you this evening that will allow the township to maintain the level of service that our residents and businesses have come to expect. Probably the most significant item on our plate is that due to the escalating costs associated with fire protection services, we are proposing a 1.455 mil increase in the real estate tax dedicated to fire protection. And this will allow us to continue to support our volunteer fire companies and also help to support what has become daytime firefighting response done by Middletown Township employees. This is the first real estate tax increase that our community has faced from the township side. The increase, you know, you'll see in the budget document, the township's real estate taxes are a very, very small percentage of what the resident pays. So this increase in millage really translates to less than $50 annually to the average Middletown resident, some less than that, some slightly more. We do enter 2024 on strong financial footing, but I'd just like to draw your attention to some of the common themes that we have discussed in the last number of years. And that is, in our general fund, our expenditures are outpacing our revenues. And in our capital fund, we do not have a dedicated funding source. So on a year-to-year basis, we have been able to continue to move forward in a very solid financial footing, but we just always need to keep these issues as part of the discussion. In the general fund that you have been presented this evening, we are utilizing $1.9 million in fund balance to balance the general fund. We did this time last year. We budgeted $1 million to bring forward. We didn't have to do that, right? We always budget conservatively. We only expect those revenues that we know we're going to get, and we always try to have a worst-case scenario. So those are sort of the high-level things from the budget. You have before you a proposed operating budget of $41.9 million, proposed capital at 6.9, spread over the funds that you see there. As I mentioned, our goal is always keeping the general fund balance. In the general fund, Expenditures are outpacing revenues. This is a slide that we bring up every year because it really illustrates how much of the general fund is locked in. You can see that salaries, insurance, benefits, and pension, those are costs that are the people who provide the services in the township. And that is 88% of our township general fund budget. And so as costs to provide medical insurance, to handle the pension, to provide raises to employees, as those costs escalate, we haven't necessarily had revenues to match that. Good news, our beginning fund balances are strong. There's more than $59 million in fund balance across all of our funds. You see the general fund is holding $10 million. The investment fund is we keep it at $40 million. Capital reserve is starting out with $4 million. So we are entering into the year with strong fund balances. This slide shows you just sort of an overview of revenues, expenditures, and fund balance. You can see the variety of things that have happened over the years. You can see 2020, 2021. But I think the most significant thing is to see the increased revenues that were brought about as a result of the earned income tax. So you see the fund balance at the on the left side in 2013, and you see the ability to build that up. There are a couple of anomalies, the drop in the fund balance during the pandemic and after the pandemic, and the spike in the fund balance that was related to the ARPA revenue. And that this chart is showing a convergence of revenues and expenditures. Some of the critical things that we look at when we're putting together this budget, we have a very long history of being extremely aggressive with grant revenues, more than $12 million since 2011. In the 2023 budget alone, we brought in $1.2 million in grant funding, and in the budget that you have presented before you, there's more than $860,000 of grant revenue. Those are grants that we know we're getting. That doesn't take into consideration those grants that are out there, the things we just applied for earlier this evening, or RDA grants. Also, insurance coverages, we participate in 2 separate municipal insurance pools for our health insurance and for our workers' compensation insurance. The participation in those municipal insurance pools have allowed us to stabilize the cost of those 2 insurances. Our renewal for health insurance this year is 4.6%, and that is before we allocate some of the rate stabilization funds. So we are well below market by participating in the municipal insurance pools. Property and liability is out to market right now. We'll know a little bit more about that before you pass the final budget. Looking at infrastructure and equipment, we have in the last 10 years paved more than 75 miles of roadways in Middletown Township. We plan to continue that this year. There's $900,000 budgeted in the Highway Aid Fund for road paving. Our capital plan has a robust plan for prioritized physical improvements. And then also, we have been very fortunate that the Bucks County Redevelopment Authority funding has pretty much underwritten the cost of our township vehicles. And that has been a real benefit for us with that. During the budget process, I'll just note, during the budget process, we talked about the vehicle and equipment replacement plan. And there is a lot of effort that is going into looking at our vehicles when they need to be replaced. Some of our notable financial recognitions, we talk about this a lot, but it's really kind of a big deal, It's kind of a big deal that we get these 2 awards, the Distinguished Budget Award and the Financial Reporting Award. We are among a very, very select few municipalities that receive both of them. It's been 5 years for the Distinguished Budget Award, and this is 18 years. This will be our 19th year for the Excellence in Financial Reporting. Our AAA bond rating, So we had a AAA bond rating the last time we went out to market. This time last year, we got an outlook from Moody's that said we're stable. Just got that this week, again, that Moody's has looked at our financial situation and said we're stable. That has a lot to do with our fund balances. It has a lot to do with our fund balances. So those, are great things. We have a fund balance policy. Just important to note, for the general fund, we require that there's a minimum of 3 months or 25% of the most recent fiscal year in revenue to be held. In the general fund, we also restrict voluntarily the investment fund, that it should remain $40 million, and only interest income should be spent or transferred out of that fund. This chart shows our pension minimum municipal obligation. It's pretty significant. We have a large police force, and you see that our police pension MMO is $3.1 million this year. Basically, when you look, and non-uniformed 485, but police really drives this. When you look at this, you can see in 2020, you are, you're really seeing a new contract. That spike up there was some benefits that were involved in our last contract. So it has come down a bit since then. From a personnel standpoint, we have 122 full-time employees, 26 regular part-time, and 70 seasonal. This budget contemplates 3.5% wage increases for 3 of our 4 unions. We are finalizing negotiations with our police union right now, and so you'll be voting on that at our next meeting. This budget contemplates filling all vacant positions, staffing 1 position in Parks and Rec, and a part-time position in IT that we've been talking about for quite a number of years. Next up, fire services. This is what's going on in fire services is quite a big deal for us. We've got volunteers from 4 volunteer fire companies that provide evenings and weekends. We now have daytime response, and we have firefighters that are working. This year, we moved to 12-hour shifts, taking on additional costs. We did a fire services study. We did a strategic plan. We've really been working hand in hand with the volunteers to implement the strategic plan. We've taken over the cost of workers' comp. Again, we moved to the 12-hour shifts. Really maintaining the viability of our 4 volunteer fire companies is critically important. Some of the changes in this document, we talked about at our budget workshop, but some of the big changes in this document, we actually took 75% of the cost of our firefighters, moved them to the Fire Protection Fund, and we also created a new fire apparatus fund. And so the 4 fire companies in the township have agreed on a apparatus replacement plan. And so the real estate tax increase that you're seeing is really directly related to that apparatus plan, continued support of our volunteers, and support of our paid firefighters. High-level general fund, balanced budget. There's a nice shot of the pickleball courts, which makes everyone happy. General fund revenues, the pie chart stays the same pretty much year to year. EIT is our largest category at 36%. Next up is real estate taxes, 14.6. Also, we have the amusement tax, real estate transfer tax that are both around 5, mercantile tax at 4.4. Our millage will be, in this proposed budget, it is 19.025. You see on this slide an increase in the fire protection and the fire apparatus fund. Everything else stays the same. Real estate taxes, when you look across every dollar that a resident pays in real estate taxes, 79 cents of that is going to the school district, 12 cents is going to Bucks County, and about 9 cents is going to the township. So it's, I didn't put the dollar bill up there, but it's really significant that folks associate real estate taxes with the township when really most of their real estate taxes are going elsewhere. The average resident pays real estate tax in the range of $550. So again, I feel like that's pretty critically valuable info for the residents out there. We also have an array of 511 taxes, which is amusement, EIT, local services, mercantile, parking transaction, that's primarily Sesame Place, per capita, and real estate transfer. These next couple of slides are going to show you what the revenue has looked like over the last 10 years or so. On amusement tax, that big dip down is COVID, a rebound, and in 2023, we had, shockingly, the smoke from the wildfires in Canada really was impactful on Sesame Place at a critically important time. So their revenues were down slightly this year. We're expecting them to rebound back up to where they were in prior years. This isn't working, Nick. The battery might be dead if you want to just go on to the next one. EIT revenue, we have had really strong EIT revenue. Folks are making more money, and you see that, you see the bar graph shows the EIT revenue. We're expecting about 9.6 to 9.8 this year and going into next year. Mercantile tax, similar dip in 2020. Remains to be seen. We get a lot of mercantile tax at the end of the year. I'm curious as to whether or not we might have some impact on our revenues from the auto strike, because as you see in the next slide, the mercantile tax, a big chunk of the mercantile tax, 35% is from automotive and car dealerships. Grocery stores, large retail after that. Real estate transfer tax, wow, there you see what has happened with our real estate transfer tax. Post-COVID, really low interest rates, lots of stuff going on in residential. Also, we had a lot of crazy commercial transfers in 2021 and even in 2022. So our real estate transfer taxes are down. We are anticipating in 2024 that they will probably remain about the same. Next slide shows you the expenditure pie. Our police department, more than 50%. The benefits piece of the pie is one that's pretty interesting at nearly 18%. Public works, 8%. Building and zoning, 4.5%. And you can see each little section of township services. Funds from some of our highlights from some of our other funds, looking at fire protection and fire apparatus. We talked about that already. Tax allocation, workers' comp for the volunteers, as well as the volunteer incentive program, 75% of paid firefighters. In Parks and Recreation, this is a fund that has dedicated real estate tax revenue, program fees, and charges for service. In 2024, the expenditures in the Parks and Rec Fund are anticipated to be at 1.7. One of the things, kudos to the Parks and Recreation Department. In 2023, they really killed it, increasing their program revenue. We are always sort of giving them the charge to make sure that the costs of the programs are being offset by fees. We always try to keep the fees reasonable for our residents, but as costs increase, we have to eke up our costs for those programs. In the sanitation fund, this year, 2024, is going to be the last year of a 5-year contract. Our residents are paying $401 annually. They are really below the market right now. So we're going to be going out to bid next year. We know based upon what other communities are paying, we know that we're most likely going to have a significantly higher fee. We won't know until we do it. When we do that bid, we will try to provide various alternatives and options to make it as economically feasible as possible for our residents. In the capital fund, we've budgeted $6.9 million. The way that we handle our capital plan in Middletown is we identified during our budget workshop meetings priority 1 projects and priority 2 projects. Both priority 1 and priority 2 are included in your capital plan in the proposed budget. $6.9 million represents the priority 1. That is also not offset yet by grant revenue or the fact that some of these projects will be spent out of other funds. What you see in your budget is approximately $4 million coming out of the capital fund, which is what we have in that fund. So we will, as you know, nothing, even though you're approving the budget, nothing in that capital plan happens until it comes here for you. So although you might have approved an array of vehicles in various departments, anytime a purchase comes up or a project is ready to move forward, it comes to you for authorization so that you can, bob and weave and make changes if you need to throughout the year. The investment fund, as I mentioned, is not to drop below $40 million. The beginning fund balance in 2024, $40,081,000. We were able to transfer $2 million out of this fund into the capital fund, end of 2023. So that is directly related to the interest rate. So that's been one of the, obviously there are all these different variables. So the higher interest rates are impacting the real estate transfers in the community, but the higher interest rates are also really giving us much higher interest income on that $59 million in fund balances. The Highway Aid Fund is direct aid from PennDOT, and in 2024, we're proposing $2.4 million. $900,000 of that is for the road program. Other costs include public works, snow removal, streets, traffic signs, drainage. So that's an overview of the budget funds. The budget process, in August, we had a capital improvement meeting where you all got to hear about all of the projects that are being proposed. In September, the budgets are presented, submitted to myself and Megha Bandari, our finance director. Megha and Nick and I review the departmental budgets and we put together the first draft. We had budget workshops this year, October 9th and 23rd. Tonight is your opportunity to authorize advertisement. And the first opportunity for the board to consider this budget would be December 11th. If something should happen, you just need to adopt it before December 31st. So we always try to schedule the opportunity to pass it early in case there are any problems. And so that really, that really concludes my presentation. I would like to encourage anyone who's watching. The budget is available on our website now. This is a great opportunity for you to take a look at it, provide feedback, ask questions, contact any of us on the township team or the elected officials. It's a big job putting this together, and I would just like to thank the team, to Nick and Megha and Ashley for their hard work, to all the department heads, everyone from beginning to end. It's something that we all really care a lot about. We think that this is your biggest policy decision every year. And again, want to thank all of the elected officials and look forward to the challenges ahead in 2024. Happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
I just was curious, I know we've kind of said a few times about the fund with the 40 million. Can you just kind of explain like the history of that? I know some residents don't really understand why we can't, just kind of like break open the piggy bank and use some of that money.
Sure.
I know it like predates all of us on the board, so.
Sure. So it was more than 20 years ago that the township sold its water and sewer operation. And the sale price back then was $40 million. the elected officials at that time actually, by ordinance, restricted that the principal of that sale, the $40 million, should remain, and that only the interest that is generated off of that fund should be utilized. And over the years, there have been various times where the interest rates caused significant revenues to roll off of that fund, which helped to balance the general fund. When I first got here 11 years ago, we were transferring $1 to $2 million annually to balance the general fund. More recently, we've been using it for capital. And so that's why you see in the budget that it's starting, 40 million plus, and it will grow over the year. And the only way you would be able to utilize any of that would cause this board to act to change that ordinance. And so it's a nice protection for the township's rainy day fund. And that fund, as I mentioned earlier, really helps with the fund, with the bond rating that we have and the continued, recognition by Moody's that we have a stable credit rating.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions or comments?
No, I just wanted to know, in the financial profession, I know how much work this takes. So thank you to the team. This is a lot of work. It's a lot of prep, a lot of running the numbers. So I just want to I know how much time it takes out of your time during the year to put this together. So thank you. You do a really thorough job. I'm always asking questions. So thank you for always being able to get back to me quickly on all the questions that I have on it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll definitely echo that sentiment and agree. Ms. Tealy-Cools, Mr. Valla, Ms. Bendari, everybody who's involved in the process, we certainly recognize the effort and the hard work that goes into this. I also want to just recognize my fellow board members. I've been here almost 6 years now, and this year was a tough one. I mean, this process requires us as a board to make a lot of difficult decisions, and it just seems to get harder every year. And so figuring out how to spend the tax dollars and the other sources of revenue in a responsible way is something that we all take very seriously and we all work very hard at. And so this process of going through this every year always makes me feel really good about this board, the people on this board, because everybody takes this job really, really seriously, and it's a heavy responsibility that we accept in trying to make these financial decisions for the residents of this township. So thank you to my colleagues on the board for all your hard work and effort too. I'll make a motion to advertise the 2024 Middletown Township annual budget.
It's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been a motion and a second. Are there any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes, Harry, 5-0. Thank you. Okay, we're already up to other business. Mr. Kessler.
We do have some plans for signature, if I can bother 3 of you after the meeting for your signatures on those. And I just want to wish everyone, their families, a happy Thanksgiving holiday coming up next week. And looking forward to the year ahead as well. Thank you.
Mr. Valla?
Thank you. If anyone out in the community who's listening to tonight's meeting would like to learn more or contribute to some of the Community Foundation's projects, such as the Canine Program or Shop with a Cop, both of which are supported by the Foundation, we accept donations via Venmo at MCF Bucks, or you can learn about some other donation methods at the Foundation's website at middletowncf.org. And happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mr. Valla. Mr. Grimm?
Griffin, no
Griffin,
report
my
this
bad.
evening.
I'm so
that's
sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Tealy-Cools?
I would just like to express my gratitude in the spirit of Thanksgiving to our entire team, to the Board of Supervisors, to this great community. I am super grateful to be here and appreciate all the hard work of our team and the support of the board.
Supervisor Hannah?
I just wanted to say thank you as well, and my apologies for starting off the meeting, not having my list complete. But I wanted to thank those people, Ms. Stephanie Teely-Cools, Mr. Valla, Chief Butterillo, Mega Boundary, Ashley Casey, Jim Ennis, Eric Gartmeyer, Paul Cabrera. I did not recognize you completely at the beginning of the meeting, and I wanted to take a moment to say thank you. I appreciate all of you. You make our township much better. And also, Mr. Esposito and Mr. Kessler, thank you very much. And also, a very happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Enjoy.
Supervisor Kane?
Just happy Thanksgiving, nothing further.
Supervisor Crowell?
I just wanted to, as everybody else, thank everybody that worked really hard on our budget. It is a feat that is very difficult. Mega, you always do such a wonderful job. I wanted to give you a shout out, and of course, our manager, Mr. Teely-Cools, and Mr. Valla, you guys just do an amazing job, and I'm in awe of how you can make these numbers work all the time. So thank you very much for that, and I wanted to wish everybody a very happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Supervisor Kizak?
Happy Thanksgiving.
In an effort to not be as redundant, I would like to congratulate Officer Brady on his swearing in today, and Officer Blue. So I just wanted to say congratulations to both of them. I was very excited for both to be sworn in today. I think next year we can do a little bit of more marketing with a K-9 officer. There's like a social media component we can really capitalize on for the foundation here. So we'll talk later about that. But also I did want to congratulate my colleague on the board, Supervisor Kizak, for his reelection. Apparently none of us are able to speak properly tonight. And I also wanted to thank the township for all their hard work on the budget. I know how difficult that is, and tough decisions have to be made from a management standpoint, not just by us on the board. So thank you for your commitment to this township. You can tell that you all really care about the residents that live here. So thank you, and with that, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.